All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Frantic Talks podcast, episode 62. I am your host, Frantic. Along with me, as always, is my lovely co-host,
Grunt. Hello.
Hello, everyone. We're here to talk about gaming.
And junk.
All right, so we were not here last week, so that means you had to figure out something to do for a week. Hopefully, we will be able to solve that issue in the coming future. We won't talk about that now. What we will instead talk about is where you can find us. I'm going to scroll down here on my screen. You can't see it yet, but you'll see the Frantic Talks website. I'm just gibbering on here for no reason. All right.
We've been out of this for 2 weeks, and we know what we're doing.
We've been out of this way too long. We're going to... Oh, I just bumped my screen. We are going to be... Well, I didn't bump the screen. I bumped my desktop, my computer, and it moved the desk. Anyways, we are going to be so held together this episode that at some point I might scream. All right.
You will.
Where you can find us to continue the conversation. So, first things first, the easiest way to get a hold of us, besides watching live and joining in on the conversation there, you can head to twitter.com, hit up either me, at FranticJ3, or you can hit up him, as he points, yep, there you go, at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. That is where you can most directly talk to us. You can also hit up our lovely podcast ghost, Freak Show, at 187. He's in, well, right, I'm pointing, no, other way. Because he's normally in the center of the screen if he's ever here.
But that then I'm technically pointing at you since he's not here.
Well, no, I'm pointing at the center of the screen too, so it looks like we're pointing at the same person. There you go. Yeah, see, it works.
Whatever.
Send him a bunch of puns at FreakShow187 on Twitter. He loves his puns. And as always, you can hit up Frantic_Talks. That'll be where you can find pretty much less characters for tagging us and continue conversations related to the podcast. Maybe not necessarily directed at one of us, just directed at all of us. I already mentioned it, but you can catch us live, and that will be usually every Saturday. Usually, I already said it too many times, at 3 p.m. Eastern, asterisk, usually, because sometimes we just don't go live at 3 p.m. Eastern, or we don't go live on Saturday at all, like last Saturday. That is twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. Sometimes you might catch us streaming some other random games. Like, literally, before this episode, I decided to stream about an hour worth of Rocket League. I am not good at Rocket League, but I still streamed it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it through the archive. I don't know if it archives one episode or archives like all of the past 2 weeks of episodes or something. That I'm unsure of. But if you want to check out the video version of the podcast so you can't make it live, you can head over to youtube.com, search up Frantic Talks. It'll be the first thing you find there. Hit that subscribe button. You will never miss an episode. Always goes up live roughly an hour after we record live. Unless you want to wait for the audio version, which will come out on Mondays. And also, you can head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. You will get everything that we usually tweet out, sometimes a little bit different stuff, different format, Facebook format, as I like to say. And if all else fails, head to frantictalks.com. That is where you can find all of our podcasts, including all the links that are relevant to what I just said in the footer of the website. You can find all of our articles, and you can also find magic.frantictalks.com. I'm going to go ahead and put it up in the background here. Oh, look at that. It worked. Beautiful. I tend to have problems getting it to pop up on screen. But anyways, there's a bunch of tabs there where you can click on different stuff, see some of our older articles that weren't really about gaming, click on Magic the Gathering, check out a lot of the articles I've done with a couple of friends, and I think that about does it. That's about everything.
Basically, if you just want to find us, just look up Frantic Talks. You'll be guaranteed 9 times out of 10 to find us.
Absolutely. You'll be able to search... Just Google it, and I guarantee you'll be like the first 10 results, which is a whole page, will be us in some way, shape, or form.
Frantic Talks. Stitcher, yeah. Frantic Talks.
Exactly. We are on iTunes and Stitcher, if you didn't catch that. So, pretty awesome. Yeah, 9 times out of 10 it will work. So, I guess I should have said 9 out of 10 results will be Frantic Talks.
Just going to go search, see what the first 10 results are Frantic Talks, 9 or 10 results.
Back in the early days, it actually would have been results from like CNN talking about frantic talks among countries trying to settle wars and shit. So that was a weird combination of words I'd never expected. So
man, I know we talk about and junk, but I don't think we go that far into it.
Oh, well. Let's talk about some junk. Grunt, how was your past 2 weeks?
Pretty good, actually. The big stick out was last weekend. Actually, when we didn't have the podcast. My reason for not being part of the podcast was the fact I went to a local tabletop gaming convention in my area. It was the second year they did it, and it was my first time going to it, so I wasn't too sure what to expect, but they had all kinds of tables and that set up for games like role playing mainly,
Mm-hmm.
board games. So you could play like D&D. They had a few sessions for D&D over the weekend.
Nice.
They had a whole bunch of sessions and tables for Pathfinders, which is another, like, I wouldn't say spawn off, but it's like a D&D clone.
Okay. Yeah.
Then
There's a
they
lot of
had,
those.
yeah, then they had, what was the other one? And I actually bought the first module for this one because it looked interesting. It's Dragon Wars of Tyrath, I think is how you pronounce it.
Never heard of it.
Yes, it's relatively new, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's basically just a story that I think you can use with like a 3.5 edition of D&D or the rule set from Pathfinders. So I'm pretty anxious to give that a try. Just have to wait for
Yeah.
it to show up because they were out of stock and they were shipping one to me when I bought it.
Yeah, that'll happen at conventions.
Yes, they sold quite a few cool things there. I also took part in an Amonkhet pre-release event that week.
Good for you. I didn't get to do that, but we'll get there.
Yes, that wasn't too bad. I got a bunch of white and primarily black cards in my pack. A lot of the black cards were focusing on putting -1 counters on your creatures and redistributing them when certain ones left the battlefield or under certain conditions and that stuff. So that's doesn't match my playstyle usually. So I built a primarily red, white, and green deck.
Nice.
With a little bit of, I think, red splashed in there.
Mm-hmm.
It probably would have been better had I not shorted myself by like 5 or 6 lands. So,
Ooh, yeah, that would have been bad.
yes. So that was my problem. The time that we usually do the podcast, I was still doing something podcast related. I attended a podcast panel from a group of people that had their own podcasts in this area, which is really cool. I didn't know that my area was that into stuff like that, but apparently they are. So I learned a few things that I'm going to hopefully help carry over to us and help us here on ours a little bit.
You would think after 62 episodes we would have learned a thing or two.
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff they did say for basic tips is stuff that we've figured out. And it's stuff that we have talked about doing, we just haven't done. Like maybe pre-recording episodes to release on weeks we don't have episodes, live episodes like this.
That's what I hinted at earlier, which, brief sidebar, we're probably going to end up putting top 5s into those more than likely. I'm sure we'll have other random things, but if you have any specific top 5/top 10s even that you'd be interested in, send us those recommendations. Twitter would probably be the best. Anyways, continue.
It would be. So yeah, it was the realization at the same time that we would be going live for our podcast and doing our own. I was still doing something podcast related, just not for Frantic Talks. So it's like, wow, weekend that we don't have a podcast and I still can't get away from it. Not that that's a bad thing.
My life just revolves around podcasts now.
It really does. So that was cool. On Sunday, I went back to the convention and played a game of Dread, which, for those that don't know, it's a horror-themed... It's usually a horror-themed RPG.
Mm-hmm.
Only instead of making dice rolls to see if you succeeded at an attack or an activity or whatever.
Skill check, maybe?
Skill check, basically. You pull a block from a Jenga tower. If you pull the block and place it back on top, like you do when you play Jenga, and the tower doesn't fall, you succeed at what you were trying to do. If at any point when you are pulling the block and finishing putting it on top, the tower falls, that's it, your character is dead. So,
interesting.
The version I played was a Fallout-themed version, and it was cool because the game manager or game master, whatever the appropriate term is, had the setting around the area I live in. So it was like just a little touch that made it very cool. I was the first character to die. We made it about halfway through the campaign before I got killed. And That's because I decided to swim through water that was, obviously radiated. So I got sick, and while I was looking for medical supplies, I had a bunch of ghouls jump on me because as I was searching, you had to pull the block out to make sure you found anything, and the tower at that point was very, very...
Very flimsy.
Very, yes. Easy. I think I had pictures of it somewhere, like right before I pulled my block. I'll have to find them. But I pulled the block out, and as I was getting ready to put it on top, the tower just fell. It's like, man, why?
Why me? That's
Why
great.
me? But it was very cool. I have to admit that after that weekend, I want to try maybe creating my own like D&D campaign of some sort, but the whole creativity thing, it comes and goes for me, so.
I get it in big spurts. I mean, I could talk about that because this past entire week I've been like really wanting to write a story about a specific idea I had. But I know you feel it's just like, I want to do this thing and I want to do it now while it's fresh in my mind. Like,
right, exactly. The only other thing I've done in the past couple of weeks has been finally started playing Dishonored. I finished the first game just Thursday, I think it was. And I started playing Dishonored 2 yesterday. So I have the lead.
So I mentioned I was streaming Rocket League before this, right?
Yes, you did.
The only reason I was streaming Rocket League is because I hadn't installed Dishonored 2.
Oh.
Which is installed now.
Oh.
The race is on, my friend. So for background story, for anyone who does not know, I got Dishonored 2 from Gamefly. Still haven't played it. I've had it for like 3 months, so I've pretty much paid for the game. No, it's not that they want their game back. It's like, yes, keep the game so you pay more money than this game is worth. And Grunt has Dishonored 1 and 2, and we made the equivalent of a bet, where if at the time we had recorded that episode, we had said, hey, if anyone wants to make the bet of who will finish first, I will, and I promise this, I will give you a $5 gift card to like Xbox or Amazon or whatever, if you're right. And we had one person jump in, which was Murherder, one of our dedicated listeners, and he said that I would finish it first, because Grunt had to play Dishonored 1 and 2, I just had to play number 2. Even though I've never played 1, I don't own 1, and it was just like, I only have 2, and I'll take significantly more time to get to it, because I have a lot less time to play games. And so the only bet in place is on me. Theoretically, Freak Show said he bet on Grunt without actually saying he bet on Grunt.
He said that none of us will finish it.
Well, last night when we got on and we're playing Destiny, before you showed up, he was like, hey, I technically voted for Grunt. And I was like, I mean, I don't remember you saying that. And he's like, well, I was like, if anyone will finish, it'll be Grunt, but I said you both wouldn't go. And I'm like, well, semantics.
Oh, come on.
I mean, it's fine to have one on each person voting to see who gets it done. I'm just like, can't sneak in once he's already finished a game. Seems like cheating.
It does. I mean, I'm halfway done to my goal, and you are halfway done considering you have the game installed.
I think half of my goal is just installing the game. Like,
the other fourth out of the last remaining half will be actually starting the game.
Yeah, that'll be I got over the hump of starting it, and then it just like flows.
But yeah, quick thoughts about the original Dishonored. I like how it ended. I got the low chaos ending, which is for not killing everyone.
Yeah.
At some point, I'm going to go back and get the high chaos ending because I want to. I just want to see what it is like. But it was a good ending in two aspects. It was a good ending because I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a fitting way to end the game, considering that playthrough. But it was also a good ending in the sense that everyone, it was a happy ending, you could say. They ended up curing the plague. The main, well, not the main character, but one of the main characters essentially takes her place on the throne. Everything is all happy, fine. So, I'm very curious as to how the high chaos ending is going to compare to the low chaos ending. So, which is why I want to go back through it. Plus, I have the DLC to finish for it at some point.
Right.
And I've only played a little bit of Dishonored 2, probably about 3 hours worth since I installed it.
A little bit.
A little bit, yes. I mean, it has taken me probably about those 3 hours to finish one level for it. So,
Oh, jeez.
yes. Well, I mean, I have to figure out how I'm going to go about things. I stare at a guard's route so I can find out the best way to not get seen by him. But I do like it so far. They have a bunch of cool new powers that I can't wait to get my hands on and try at some point in the game. And they made it a little bit more difficult when you're trying to be stealthier in Dishonored 2. So it's easier to get spotted. So you have to really think about your next move. You're trying to go stealth. But in the same sense, if you want to just go in guns blazing, they made that a totally viable option too. So
That'll probably end up being what I do, just because I'm not good at stealthing.
I wasn't. I'm not either. So I'm really surprised I got the low chaos ending in the original Dishonored. But that's how my past couple weeks have been. How about yours?
Oh, well, since you asked. I had an interesting past 2 weeks, so the reason I wasn't here for the podcast this past Saturday is because I was leaving to go travel. The lady friend and I had planned a vacation to Panama City Beach, where we stayed from Saturday until this past Thursday. I arrived home yesterday after a fun little day, which I'll get to. But that was why we had no episode, and I probably look slightly more red in the face than I did in the last episode. I'll be honest, I'm only mildly sunburned, and it's impressive, and also it's under my shirt, so I'm not going to take my shirt off and show you, but that's basically the gist of it. It's just a little bit of burn up on the upper right-hand side of my body, essentially, and it wasn't even like, oh god, don't touch me. It was like, it's a little itchy and irritated, but apparently the sunscreen we bought went really far. So that was nice. I didn't have to worry about walking around not moving and just sitting down on something cold and never being able to move from fear of pain. So that was
kind of sunburns.
Yeah, that's the worst kind, and I've barely ever had something like that. I normally am more tan than your average person, so my body doesn't burn as bad, I don't think, compared to some other people who just walk out and die when the sun hits them. So
we call those people vampires.
Well, yeah, but I meant more so. It tends to be, and this is probably going to sound really derivative, but it tends to be people who are red-haired and pale skin. That's where I've noticed it the most. I have a family member like that, and I have a couple friends like that. They're all kind of in that same category. Extremely pale. They don't tan. They just burn, and it doesn't take long. So I'm sure you can think of somebody like that. I'm not that, clearly. My hair's not even red. So that we were in Panama City Beach. It was pretty interesting. We drove down, so 12-hour drive from where I live, which was a long drive, but the sightseeing was pretty fun because we got to go through the Smoky Mountains, which was awesome. That was probably one of my favorite parts, besides the whole being on a beach. And I could fill you in all the details on the stuff we did. We went to zoos and stuff and saw some cool animals. Got a couple of good souvenirs, some gifts for people back here, and then we had honestly it was a great time. And on the drive back, we split it into 2 days. We took a majority of the drive Thursday and ended up in Kentucky. And then yesterday, which was Friday, we went to what was called Mammoth Cave National Park, and holy shit, that was amazing. Now, I'm going to legitimately make it sound like that was the better part of the trip, and honestly, it was one of my favorite parts. I don't think it was my most favorite. But if you ever have a chance, it's about an hour south of Louisville, Kentucky. If you ever have a chance to go there, my God, is it amazing. I think it's one of the biggest caves in the world, and you can get a guided tour for just short of $15. And you get this 2-hour-long tour where you just walk through this big fucking cave with a nice tour guide who's telling you the history of it. And I took a lot of pictures, and we'll be uploading them to my Facebook personally, maybe some Twitter pictures for other people to see. But man, was it amazing. So the whole trip,
all the pictures.
Yeah, I will definitely upload them. The whole trip was fantastic. I had a great time. So that was this past week. And then last night we got together, did some Trials of Osiris that I offered up instead of Freak Show saying, guys, do Trials with me. He got his blind... What?
I still want to know what you've done with the Real Frank J3.
He got his blind perdition, which was great. I'm glad that happened for him. He's been waiting to get that. And we went 5-0 and then went 1-4 after going 5-0 because that's how good and clutch we are. But no, I don't know. I just was on my way home and I'm like, yeah, I want to play some Destiny. What day is it? Friday? Yeah, sure. Let's do Trials. I'm down to do some shooting some people.
I mean, it wasn't too bad though. Trials was pretty good last night actually. We
just ran into all the sticky grenades, which was annoying as hell.
Oh god, that's where it went downhill.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got to 5 wins pretty. I wouldn't say pretty easily. We had one game where we almost lost, but the other team, for lack of a better term, choked away a 4-1 lead.
Yes, that did happen. That was a pretty great time.
Also didn't help that their one Titan that was using Fist of Havoc got killed out of his super 3 times in a row.
That was great.
It really was. It really was, because 2 of those times he would have gotten at least 2 of us, and we were just like, no, get out of here with that.
Yeah, that was it was a lot of fun last night. I did have a lot of fun. And then I had friends over. We played some games, which was fun. And that was about it till about today, where I streamed. And the week before, I don't remember too much about it. It was so long ago. I do know what I was mainly focusing on, which was brewing my own homebrewed hard cider, which I know the day before we left, I started the fermentation process, which is going wonderfully. That's not sarcasm. It really is doing well, I think. So that'll be ready by my birthday. I'll let you guys know how it is. Yeah, it's not quite. But yeah, that's about...
Evil scientist over there.
Right, yeah. But that was basically my week. Very fun, very adventurous is a proper term there. And, of course, always having random creative ideas pop into my mind, like we mentioned. I'm going to write like a story and like publish it at some point on some random website and hope it gets like 3 likes. That'll be what happens with all these things that run through my mind. Random thought of the day.
Just go for it.
I think it'll be a good story. It kind of plays off of it's a very D&D-esque story, but not like a let's just randomly get together and go fight stuff. It's got much more depth and lack of cliches. I hope, So, anyways, enough rambling there. All right, let's get into some of the fun stories we are going to talk about today. First off, I want to let you guys know, if you are listening to this live, or if for some reason you didn't know and you want to bookmark your calendar for next year, today is International Tabletop Day. And Amazon usually does really good sales for some games, typically 25-30% off some of the really good games like Catan. I think DC Deck Building's one that they'll do. Considering I've pretty much gotten all that, I don't need to buy it. But there's a lot of good games that you could probably get on sale. If you're missing out on that sale, don't worry. I imagine that it doesn't just go on for today, but don't quote me on that. So if you hear this like Monday or Tuesday, maybe there's still some leftover sales, but it's normally, I don't know the actual qualification for the day. I don't think it's actually the 28th or whatever today is, or the 29th. I think it's like the last Saturday in April or something, but it's a lot like
on a yearly basis.
Yeah, I think it changes yearly because Free Comic Book Day is always the first, I think, Saturday in May, which should be this upcoming.
That is coming up.
It's a week from today.
Ooh.
So I'm pretty sure that is always the first Saturday. So I think they kind of just coincide back to back. So
I would highly recommend checking out the hashtag International Tabletop Day.
Yes.
Or I think the Twitter handle for it is @Tabletop Day. So,
and for those of you wondering, I am drinking a 2-liter of Coke. I've been making... Grunt can't see me on the video, and I've been making some funny fucking faces when I drink it. Not to, like, toot my own horn there. I've just been enjoying doing it.
You really threw me for a loop, and before this, I just saw your little picture in the lower corner of my screen. It's like, was that a 2-liter? It was. Okay. Well...
I was doing this on the game stream, too. It was quite enjoyable. Anyway, sorry. So, some fun...
Random gaming person drinks 2-liter soda. Tune in live.
God, that'd be a terrible show.
Well, hey, we get you
I'm about halfway through it here.
The
crispiness is wearing off due to the oxygen getting into there and relieving carbon dioxide from the bottle.
The crispiness?
I would say this bottle is a couple of weeks old. Okay, I'm not going to keep doing this. All right, let's get on to the fun stories that we're going to talk about today. If I start yelling, I'm sorry.
We're going to have to do a blooper episode just because why not?
Someone needs to download all the episodes and just clip together some of the dumb shit we've done over the time. Because I don't remember all of them.
That would take you a year to do, I'm sure.
It would take quite a while because you have to download, 62 hours worth of episodes. Well... 52 because the first 10 were not, they were just audio. So no video accompaniment probably wouldn't work too well. With some of them. It might still work. I don't know. Prove me wrong, listeners. Anyways, we're going to talk about Call of Duty and their fear of being not in the World War II setting. That's not true. I heard someone say that Call of Duty was so scared with how bad Infinite Warfare sold that they decided to go back to World War II. Either way, if you haven't heard, Call of Duty's, they're doing
World War II.
Going back to World War II. And apparently they're going to focus on the vulnerability of their heroes instead of being, I don't know, exo-suited, jumping around, crazy monstrosities that are in the current games. And honestly, I think that's good.
I think it'll be a good change for it. I might actually consider buying a Call of Duty for the first time in what year did Modern Warfare 2 come out?
2009.
That would be the first Call of Duty game that the last Call of Duty game I bought. Man, almost 10 years.
It's been 8 years since that game came out. What the hell?
Nostalgia trip. Quick,
jeez.
Quick, World War II.
All right, we're back to
M1 grants, things, stuff.
M1 grants. That's great. No, so something I like about this is that they understand where Call of Duty went wrong. And this is a video that, my God, I'm retreading this. The last episode I talked about this guy, Racevic, who does really good in-depth videos, and he did one on why Call of Duty lost their identity. And it was because we went from being this little person who could only do so much in like Modern Warfare 4, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4. This little person who could only do so much but has a gun and tries to make the difference, to being the equivalent of Master Chiefs, but not, with exoskeletons jumping around and doing all kinds of crazy shit in the more later games.
The knockoff Spartans.
Yeah, knockoff Spartans. That's a really good way to put it. So it seems like they understand that the issue is they have gone from being, it could be anybody, to you're the man. And they're going to change it back to we are just weak people with weapons. And that seems like it'll be a good focus. That's always been really good portions of the stories revolving/surrounding.
Survolving, that's a new word.
Well, that's the thing is I was going to say surrounding, and then I changed my mind to revolving and combined them into survolving. Survolving the World War I and World War II stories that you tend to see in the game. So like Battlefield 1. That's a very good example of how they went back and did really well. The older Call of Duties were more so about not winning this gigantic epic war. It was, you gotta do your part in this small little battle. Every inch counts. So I think that's good that they're going to focus back on that. It seems like a good idea.
Right, I agree. And that's why I enjoyed a lot of the older Call of Duty games the most, because they didn't try and pitch you as what you did in Halo, basically. One person that can save the entire universe, or the entirety of humanity, like with Halo.
Your character is not the MacGuffin, is what it's called, the one thing to save all humanity.
Right. They focused on one character that maybe helped win a certain battle, or did their part to help win, like you said.
Yeah. And
as they got, I give the people, they have what, 2 studios developing Call of Duty games?
No, they have 3. It's Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and Treyarch.
3. Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, when Modern Warfare 3 came out, they combined Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer into one effort, and then they started letting them do their own game every year. So they get like 3 years to make each game.
So I give them credit, those developers credit, for trying to change to what we have had in recent Call of Duty games, because World War II was really overdone back then.
Absolutely.
But with games like the newer Battlefields and all the newer Call of Duty games out there, they were starting to overdo the modern and futuristic warfare storyline too much. So it's nice to see them going back to this.
Yeah, I like that. World War II had its time in the spotlight back when the 360 first came out to show off the graphics. It showed off a lot of the capabilities. There was a lot of good gameplay, and then World at War was one of the last ones that was really in the mainstream that did well. And then they just focused on the future. And then Black Ops was Vietnam War, and then Black Ops 2 took to the future. I think that was our first real step into the future, besides Modern Warfare kind of just being their own little storyline that took off for the next 10 years from now. I think the Modern Warfare storyline ended in the 2020s, but it wasn't like that was too far into the future to not believe.
It's 3 years away. At least.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, because the events of Modern Warfare 2, I want to say, were in 2011, and then Modern Warfare 3 spanned the next little bit longer after Russia invaded and everything like that. So, it ended around the time we're at now, I want to say, very close to 2020, if not very early 2020s. So it wasn't like they were going too far in the future, and then Black Ops 2 jumped to 2025 or 2030, and then we just kind of went off the rails into the UNSC. So I think this is the right... I think this is the right step back. Get back to the roots of what makes a shooter game so good, and that's you can make a difference being the person you are in the game and shooting. You aren't some godlike character with a gun. You're just like me or Grunt, but you have a gun, and maybe you can make a difference. And that seems like a very bittersweet way to look at it, when in reality you're just going to be calling guys cocksucking faggots and shooting them. But in reality, that's what makes the game work when you think about it. So... Pardon my French, by the way.
Just picture some 12-year-old kid now saying that.
That's how I imagined it. So
Good.
So I think it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I definitely will consider buying it. I don't know if I will outright buy it, but I will definitely see kind of the, what the feel is for it if I'm not too busy playing Destiny 2.
Oh, right, Destiny 2.
Yeah, what about Destiny 2? I don't have a tab open. Quick grunt talk.
Live gameplay reveal for Destiny 2 is going to be on a live stream on May 18th. Probably, I'm assuming, around 10 or 11 a.m. Pacific time. So it'd be 1 or 2 Eastern.
Somewhere around there, yeah, roughly. I imagine it's going to be 10 a.m. Pacific all the time, but yes, it is May 18th, you said? Never written down. Yeah, May 18th. We will get to see our first bit of Destiny 2 that isn't the hilarious trailer that we've been given. So that is exciting.
Yes, I'm very curious as to see that. As a huge fan of Destiny myself, I'm anxious to see what they can do with Destiny 2. I've said it before in all the podcasts where we've talked strictly about Destiny. So
yeah, it's if you're a first-time listener or a new listener, we really enjoy Destiny. And if you have issues with Destiny, I entirely understand. I had an entire friend group. Before I even picked up Destiny, I was the guy saying, you guys are dumb playing that game that doesn't have a story and is half an MMO but sucks or whatever.
I remember this.
And my friends it was a group of 6 or 7 friends who were constantly doing raids each week and stuff. All I ever heard was them bitching about it and all this. And I was like, why keep playing a game that makes you mad? And then they stopped playing it. I picked it up and played with Grunt a bit, fell in love immediately. And I guess I came in where a lot of the issues were fixed, but I understand the resentment of the original game sucking so much, or at least not knowing where it should go. I personally think, and I'm pretty sure I speak for Grunt and Freak Show here too, that they have learned from their mistakes, and they will definitely give us a much better launch and even more interesting game than we already have at hand.
Oh yes. Biggest question I have for Destiny 2. Is the Cryptarch dead?
What would make you think he is?
I mean, the Cabal attacked the tower in the trailer.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true. He might. I imagine we've lost some good comrades, but Sweeperbot's still there. So
true. Sweeperbot MVP.
Best part of that trailer. If you haven't watched that trailer, go give it a watch. And also, apparently, we're getting into what is it? Speculation territory here. But so apparently, we're hearing that Destiny 2 is a lightless world. Well, with the Traveler being in crippled state, Cabal attacking the tower, I could see that. But that is the latest information that we are hearing from the event trailer invite, which is basically saying, come watch us on May 18th. So, anyways, that's about all I have for that. Just wanted to give you guys a quick, hey, that's coming soon. If you want to check it out and see what's coming, that's approaching fast, actually, considering we are into May when this episode comes out audio only. So
it'll be like a day or 2 into May.
Oh, the Monday is May 1st.
It'll be the first day. May Day. Hey.
All right.
Speaking of May Day, I heard something about Kotaku.
All right, hold on. I have one more story
Ah,
before I fucking unload on Kotaku here. So I have this conspiracy theory that you may have heard in previous episodes, right? And this comes from the game theorist, not gonna lie, this is not my own theory, but it's something I truly and wholly believe based on track records. So Nintendo, right? Nintendo has supply issues, or at least that's what they want you to think. And what I mean by this is the classic NES system that they sold that was like credit card size almost. The Nintendo Switch. Remember back when the Wii came out in like '06 or whenever that came out, they were struggling to give it to anybody, and that you could buy them on eBay for thousands of dollars or whatever. That might be an exaggeration, but it was a lot of money because everyone wanted to get one. Nintendo, this is hilarious, says sometimes. Oh, I just bumped my mic. Sometimes. I'm really bad about that. We get supplies wrong. We just get it wrong. Sometimes stuff gets in the way, like manufacturing our new Nintendo 2DS XL got in the way of how much Switch materials we could have. And what's really funny about this article is they literally just say, Nintendo, shut the hell up. There's no way that this little handheld device got in the way of your Switch. It's just not possible. Now, I'm not going to go into any specifics of what they say in here. Personally, I've only read portions of the article. But I really want to point out that my theory that I've taken from others and kind of just warped to my own is they are doing it so you talk about them. They're going to get it free. It's the Donald Trump effect. Just say whatever the fuck you want and you get free publicity out of it. That's what they're doing, just to a little more managed effect. Let's only sell 50 of them, and then people are going to talk about how we only sold 50 of them, and then we'll sell more. Now, this didn't work for the the NES Classic. They discontinued it. That one still has me puzzled. I haven't figured out how that fits into the conspiracy theory yet. But everything else they've done is just like, we never had enough. It's like, yes, you did. The Amiibos are another good example. They did the same thing with Amiibos when they first came out. Now there's a surplus of them. So, no, you didn't get supply wrong. You got it entirely correct. So shut the hell up.
that is... I mean, sometimes they do that quite often.
It's okay if they truly do get things wrong, but their track record, you don't get it wrong every time.
Every single time? Come on.
No.
Come on, that's a little suspicious there.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is not like a crazy conspiracy theory that would get them in legal trouble or something. It's just, come on. Really? I just really like the idea of them doing that, because it's so smart. And Nintendo, I would imagine, are kind of smart, I
mean, yeah, they're still around, so they're kind of smart.
That's a good argument. So if you thought I was getting riled up at that article, oh boy, do I have something in store for you.
Oh, this is going to be good.
All right, so I have to take a deep breath here. I'm going to read this to you as if you've never heard this story before. As if nothing that you just heard happened. All right, here we go. Stephen Totilo of Kotaku wrote an article yesterday being April 28th at 5 p.m., and he says the lack of Master Chief was the least of Halo 5's campaign problems.
Oh?
Yeah, apparently. Not playing as Master Chief. Yeah, not playing as Master Chief was not the only problem. Okay. I can understand where he's coming from here.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head, I would think, yeah, you could probably nitpick it, but maybe there's some glaring issue. Maybe something we overlooked. So he goes into talking about...
I like the multiplayer. I don't
Yeah. Well, the campaign has been interesting since 343 took over. Halo 4 focused more on, Cortana and Chief's relationship. And then Halo 5, we got this interesting idea of being hunted by Spartan team Osiris. That's right. I couldn't think of their name. So anyways, this guy goes on to say, what's his name? Steven? I already forgot your stupid ass name. Steven says, sorry, I have to keep it down here. A few days ago, Frank O'Connor, one of the top creative people at 343, was talking about how we did some things in Halo 5, but they weren't absolutely merited. Realized people wanted Master Chief's story in Halo 5, and we definitely marketed it in a way we'd hoped to get in a bit to bring surprise, but some fans of Master Chief didn't like it. Okay, that seems interesting. Still talking about how Chief was the big part of this. I understand that. And there's another part in here where they talk about, split screen was not was not included, yet they were supposed to play as a team of 4 or so. So that's kind of counterintuitive, right?
Right. I mean, split screen co-op has always been a huge staple of Halo.
So
all the way up until Halo 5. So.
And last but not least, you know, the Warden Eternal boss fights were kind of repetitive, right?
Huh, you mean that time like you fought all 3 of them at the same time?
Yeah. So Steven brings up some very good points that, you know, Master Chief wasn't the only issue, you know. Maybe it was marketed a little wrong and they didn't necessarily bring the right surprise to the table. The split screen was missing even though they consciously took it out. All right, Steven, I am gonna level with your dumbass right now. This would have been a great story a year and a half ago when we said that on the first fucking Frantic Talks podcast.
Oh my God.
All right, so history lesson, boys and girls, all you new listeners out there. The reason the Frantic Talks podcast ever began was because Halo 5 came out, and we were like, how do we write an article about this? We couldn't. We couldn't, so we decided let's go into audio form and just discuss openly what we thought. And that turned into this podcast you're listening to at this very moment. But do you want to know some things we said in that very first podcast all the way back on November, whatever the fuck it was? I don't even remember at this point. November 11th, 2015? You want to know what we said? Halo 5 ain't bad. But wow, we got marketed Spartan Locke versus Master Chief, and that never happened. Also, why do we have 4 missions where we only play as Master Chief? That's really weird for a Halo game. And split screen seems like it would have been a really great thing to have. Also, the Warden Eternal is annoying as fuck. We said those things. You can go back and listen right now. If you want to. Marathon through all 62 episodes. Get that montage together. And hand it to Steven and say fuck off. Because you were so late to the goddamn party. Oh my god. Why did this get published April 28th, 2017? Did you just now figure this out, Steven? How did you get a job doing journalism and Grunt got left hanging? How? How in the world? God.
That rant was amazing.
Fucking mind blown over here. My God. I don't think it was just because we couldn't play as Master Chief, guys. Hear me out here. All right, we're listening, Steven. Think about this.
Hey, you know what? Halo 6 is going to have split screen.
You know what's really funny is that it's almost like they're treading old grounds. Is it actually going to have split screen? Do we know that?
I do believe it's going to have it.
I feel like that's going to be a big thing they need.
The head person, Bonnie Ross from 343, said that they were going to put it back in for Halo 6.
Well, that's good because that was the whole thing that got me into Halo in the beginning was I was able to play split screen. So.
All right.
God, they're treading some old ground here too, which is really funny. When you look back at the original Halo trilogy, Halo 1 was great. It did some new stuff. It kind of broke new ground. I wouldn't say Halo 4 necessarily did that, but when you look at Halo 5 and Halo 2, the marketing was completely wrong because they scrapped everything 8 months or so before Halo 2 actually came out. And then they fucking redid everything, meaning all the stuff you saw at E3, all the marketing of Halo, Finish the Fight, Bigger Worlds, and all that stuff. Or not Finish the Fight, sorry. I forget what the actual tagline for Halo 2 was, but everything that they marketed of it was just incorrect. And it still sold amazingly. In Halo 5, they marketed this Spartan Team Osiris hunting down Chief, when in reality it was just Chief heard Cortana's voice and was like, oh my god, Cortana. And then Osiris was like, why is he running after Cortana? Oh, he knows it's not necessarily her in her right mind. Okay, let's fight together.
That's not at all how the game was advertised. And that was probably my biggest disappointment about the game. I was really looking forward to a Master Chief versus Locke showdown, which we do get in the form of a cutscene like halfway through the game that lasts about 5 minutes, and then that's it.
And that's when they realized that Chief's on the right side, and
right. It's like, hey, let's be pals now.
I was expecting Chief to go rogue, and his going rogue was, I'm gonna go find Cortana. No, don't do that. I'm gonna go find Cortana. Fuck you guys. That was it. Like,
okay, wait, we'll come along and help. Wait, what? That's not at all what I wanted. I was really, really excited for that possible Chief is the bad guy because, let's see, 16 years. Actually, would have been Halo 5 is what, 2 years old?
Yeah, Halo 5 came out in 2015.
So it would have been a 14-year-old franchise at that point. 14 years we knew as of the Chief as the good guy. And having that totally turned upside down would have been very cool. And I probably would still be as big of a Halo fan then as I was 14 years ago.
And the thing is that if they would have taken the route of he is emotionally distraught from seeing Cortana, his lifelong partner at this point. Well, not lifelong, but you know what I mean. This person he's made such a great bond with over the past 7 years just die, and he can never get her back. And he take Cortana out of this and think she's just a hallucination. Him going rogue and mad, basically off of emotional distress, puts much more character into him than he heard Cortana and then he realized that she was just trying to cure all AIs. While still an interesting story if you know enough about Halo, I argue vehemently that the first story I came up with just a moment ago would be much more interesting than what we got. Especially with the marketing we got of Osiris hunting him down. Like, why did Chief go rogue? Because he's losing his mind. That would have been an interesting and good story. I know it's much more dramatic than a first-person shooter probably calls for, but I feel like that would still have done really good because since Halo 4, we've been focusing on personal stories. The personal story of Master Chief and Cortana. So, moral of the story, Steven Totilo, fuck off. You're an idiot. It took you way too long to... You don't deserve to be writing on the front page here. It took you way too goddamn long to figure that one out, bud. And if you need any more convincing, just give me a call. I could tell you some stuff that's wrong with games now before you get to them in 2 years. All right, bud? Good for you. Other moral of the story, Halo 5 story mode was not good because they misfired on a lot of things and told us it would be something that it wasn't. And we also lost a lot of things about it, and it almost felt like the Eternal Warden or whatever were just fucking copy-pasted spots because they couldn't figure out how to fill out the last couple minutes of the game. So that's what went wrong. The multiplayer was good. The rec packs were interesting enough, and they were microtransactions that could help fuel the game and fuel the competitive side of it. All really smart moves. Really yeah, they were all very smart moves multiplayer-wise, which is what Halo is kind of before the story. But
right.
That doesn't mean the story should be so half-assed and also figured out in a year and a half later by Mr. Steven Totilo that it wasn't good. Moral of the story, guys, just fuck this guy. Go yell at him on Twitter. I don't mean dox him. Just go tell him he's an idiot, because he is. I mean, okay, let me put this in a better light. Congratulations, you figured out what everyone else did on your own. That must have been much more rewarding than being told what the problem is. I can relate to that. I'm sorry, Steven. I didn't mean to be so mad at you. Still, this did not warrant a goddamn article a year and a half after the game came out. And that's where I'll end that, and I think that's where we can end this episode, if you're good with that, Grunt. Before I go off on this guy again for just being really late to the party. Did you guys know that Battlefront 1 isn't a complete game? Why did they release everything in... Oh, why did they just give us half a game?
Wait another half a year.
No, Battlefront came out before Halo 5, I'm pretty sure.
No, I've been writing an article about it. What are you doing? Come on.
Oh, jeez.
That, I think, is a good place to end it.
But Sunset Overdrive's coming out soon, guys. I hear that's going to have some... Okay, we're going to move on to the end of this episode before I get really bad here.
There's this great game called Destiny. It's coming out, too.
I hear it's going to have a MMO... Oh, God, this is going to go on forever. All right, so if you guys want to continue this conversation and give me hate or love for being such a arrogant asshole, or Grunt too, go right at him too. He did not help this situation by egging it on. Head over to twitter.com. You can hit us up. I am at FranticJ3. 3 is a number, by the way. I don't know if I've ever actually said that. He is at Onyx Spartan, ONYX Spartan, all one word. You can also hit up at Frantic_Talks. That is our official Frantic Talks account. That is where you can just kind of hit both of us up without having to direct it at anybody or follow it to get updates on when we go live, when we are posting. Yell at us yell at us like we would yell at Steven Totilo.
Oh God.
You can also hit up our podcast ghost, Freak Show at Freak Show 187. He is it 187? I always mix it up. 740 is his Twitch. So 187. He'll enjoy some good puns you can send his way. That would be great. Also, head over to twitch.tv/Frantic Talks, all one word. That is where you can catch us live every Saturday, usually, at 3 p.m. Eastern, usually. Because sometimes we don't go live at that time or that day, like last week where we didn't have an episode. That being said, we're going to try and start filling those voids with pre-recorded episodes of whatever, top 5s, top 10s, and maybe some other random things. Give us some good ideas of what you'd like to hear, maybe us count down. Top 5 people we hate who write articles. Might be a good idea. I don't know. Just brainstorming here.
Man,
Also...
I don't think you have enough salt sitting next to you right now. Are you sure that's Coca-Cola you're drinking, not just...
It's not a salt. I mean, I did have a lot of salt water that went down my lungs when I was swimming in the ocean. That's the problem. Steven, I apologize, but not really. Also, head over to YouTube.com. Search up Frantic Talks, all one word. Actually, no, don't do it all one word. Frantic Space Talks. It still might show up, but you can subscribe to our account there and get the podcast a day or two before the audio version comes out. It always goes up roughly an hour, because that's how long it takes to upload. Usually an hour after we go live, so you can always have that a day or two early. Get free access to that along with other videos that we do, like the Sunday show where I talk about music, and hopefully here soon some video game related stuff that isn't the podcast. The logistics of that are here and there.
I need to record more footage is what I need to do, basically.
I need to actually record when I'm playing, because that's like just have backlog video stuff that we can slam in. I also need to get editing software that isn't Movie Maker. If you guys didn't know, I use Movie Maker to make the Sunday show, and it's starting to show because I do jump cuts that really are lacking in smoothness, for lack of a better term. Anyways, multiple tangents aside, head over to facebook.com/Frantic Talks, all one word. Like the page, like 120 some odd other people have done. It'd be awesome of you. 128, yes. I almost said 28, but I thought I might be off. Definitely give the page a like. You'll get a lot of the same stuff you'd get from Twitter, but in a more Facebook format, and you can also share instead of like retweeting. It kind of lasts a little longer on Facebook, all that fun and good stuff. More Facebook form. That's what I always like to say. And if all else fails, head over to frantictalks.com, where you can find all the stuff I just mentioned in the footer, along with the podcasts, our articles, tabs to get you to other places of the website, like magic.frantictalks.com, where we talk about Magic the Gathering. And keep in mind, if you click into the podcast, it will have all the stuff related to it. It's iTunes, Stitcher, Twitch, video form, and audio form, all in that one little post with a quick summation of what we'll be talking about that episode. And that, I think, is about it. Long story short, Grunt, how do you find Frantic Talks?
You just search Frantic Talks. 9 times out of 10, you will find us.
Yep, just in case you were ever worried. What were we going to say?
I cannot wait to read the summation for this episode of the podcast.
I don't even know what I'm going to call it. We'll figure that out before I end up going on another 20-minute spree of berated insults at Steven.
Heck, you just...
I'm gonna nitpick his name at this point. Your last name looks like tortilla, you asshole.
All right,
Steven isn't spelled with a PH. It is. All right, I'm done. This has been the episode 62 of the Frantic Talks podcast. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm Frantic.
I'm Grunt.
We'll see you guys next time.